Right, next skills we're going to have a look at is using some of the historical imagery layer. So Google Earth has a series of old overlays from previous years. They have aerial images from way back, some going as far back as the early 20th century. The spatial coverage of those layers is very different. So central London has quite a lot. Some isolated places have very few. So if I go up to the top up here to where my toolbar is, there's a button here with a clock and an arrow that says show historical imagery. If I click on that button there, it will show me a slider up the top with all the different aerial images that Google Earth has. There's a little date down the bottom, and every time there's a white line here means they've got a different image. And fairly obviously, the more recently you look at, the more images they tend to get. So this one's actually got a 1945 layer, so if I drag it all the way back to 1945, I can see one of the aerial images taken at some point during the war by the looks of things, and I got central Cambridge down here. I can still see the cross of Parker's Piece down on this one. The resolution isn't quite as good, but I can still pick out main things on this one: roads, colleges, green space, etc. And I might still be able to get a relatively good sense of place of some locations. If I click on this one here, travel forwards in time, it'll bump you forwards to the next dates. And this one here, 1999 in Cambridge, probably in central Cambridge, isn't particularly different. If you went further out, let's see whether my aerial image catches up with me. I'm going to dump myself down here in Trumpington for a second. Let's see whether there we go. So Trumpington didn't have a 1999, but did have a 2000 image that's on here. And if we look at Trumpington in the year 2000, a very different scene to what it would be nowadays. So this will be quite a nice one to look at change over time. So down the bottom here, here's the motorway, here's junction 11, and the slipway that would come up here into the centre of Trumpington. Here's Waitrose, by the looks of it, under construction at the moment, very brown, and what was a light industrial estate over in this section over here. So if we look forwards in this one, we've got loads of images to have a look at the change. And if we move forwards, a 2002 image shows that Waitrose over here is actually opened up. There's cars in the car park and a concreted surface. The park and ride has been built. That wasn't there in the last one, was it? No, the park and ride's been built, or is under construction in this one. Moving forwards again, we've got more, or we've actually got cars in the park and ride now, so it must have opened and is being used. This line of trees down here is the guided busway down there. Not much change to these images. This one's a very different colour, must have been taken in a different season, so have a think about that. Some of them don't necessarily come at the same time. This one here was taken in an October image. So you've got very different colours out in the fields. Some of them also taken at different times of the day. You can often tell by the shadows what's going on. But as we flick forwards, let's just jump forwards a few more. We've got a very different site here. This one's a 2017 image, and you've got part of the Trumpington Meadows development that's up here, but the houses along here, which many of which are built now, aren't in place. You've got some of the other developments, you've got roads on here that weren't built, you've got housing developments over here. There's been a huge change, obviously, and you can map substantial change with the historical imagery layer. So I'm going to turn that off for a minute, and it'll bump it back to my most recent one. Let's go back into the middle of Cambridge. And next feature we're going to have a look at is the measurement tool. So the measurement tool allows you to do distances. The measurement tool is this one up here, it's a little ruler. So if you click the ruler, and you can measure very simply a line distance as the crow flies, change the units to whatever you want. I'm going to do it in meters, and let's just say, for want of anything better, I'm in Parker's Piece and I want to measure corner to corner. Click once, click twice, it's 455 meters. Clear that, do it again. Actually I want other corner to other corner, it's not quite as far. Clear that. If I want to do a route, I go on path, and I started in the corner, of this one. Let's do it in meters. I'm going to do a path. I started in the corner. I walk round the edge of Parker's Piece, past Kelsey Kerridge, back out by the church, along the road, etc., etc., and to this junction here. And it'll add up your distance for you. Do that. This function here is new on Google Earth Pro. That's exciting, and it's the first time that I've used it. So it measures polygons at long last. We said on the inset day the other day it didn't do this, but it obviously does. So click, click, click. You will make a polygon the same way, I'm sure, that you do with the previous one. Let's go around the outside. I'm finished in there. It gives you a perimeter distance and an area, which is nice. Let's have a look, square kilometres. You can see it in square kilometres, you can see it in acres, etc. Oh, that's superb. I've wanted that to do that for ages. Ace. So I can save that. If I want to keep it as another polygon, polygon measure, I'll stick it in here. Let's put it back in my folder up there, turn them all on again, and then it'll appear. No, I don't want that horrible 1912 map, let's get rid of that. And there's my polygon that I measured out beforehand. Excellent. Let's